Another example is killing civilians. Civilians, there are too many civilians. This was never a conversation in any war in history.
Now
Who's a civilian?
Now it's a big conversation. Yeah, what is a civil? How would you define a civilian?
Yes. How do you define civilian? If he's not wearing a uniform, he's civilian?
Now, how do you define an innocent civilian?
That's right.
Because Sapir was saying that when she was taken in, she had innocent civilians hitting her, knocking her, trying to kill her.
They put me on bike with 2 terrorists, and we go to Gaza. When I came inside Gaza, I saw maybe thousands of people, thousands of innocent civilians in the street. They are all encouraged the terrorists. They are all come to touch me and to beat me, and they beat me so strong that I put the hands over my head and I'm saying, God, I don't want to die here.
Right. So the fact that they're not wearing a uniform doesn't mean they're civilians. For example, the guy doesn't have a uniform. He works in a factory that makes bullets. Is he a civilian? No, he's part of the war machine. What if he doesn't make bullets? He makes boots for the soldiers. He's part of the war machine. So the guy who makes bullets is not a civilian. The guy who makes boots is not a civilian. The woman who makes soldiers, oh, she's a civilian. Does that make any sense?
You mean the mother who makes soldiers?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
really, what is a civilian? And are you supposed to protect the civilian? Is there such a principle anywhere in the world before the Geneva Convention? A civilian is someone who surrenders. Otherwise, how do you know he's a civilian? If he hands you the gun and says, I give up, I'm yours, don't kill him. It would be wrong to kill him because he is not a threat, he is non-combatant. He's surrendered. But if you go into a village, like Jenin, for example, because there's terrorism coming out of, you have to identify the civilian? Among all your duties as a soldier, one of your duties is to identify the civilian?
you'd be standing there all day.
First of all, it's senseless. And secondly, it's immoral. You're asking every soldier to risk his life while he's trying to figure out who is the civilian. There's no morality there. It's sheer insanity. It's suicide. A civilian has to identify himself. It is not my job to identify your civilian.
Have any civilians identified themselves?
Those who surrendered. Just recently, they took 80 prisoners because they put down their guns and surrendered. Morality without Torah does not exist. It's become very, very clear. So Israel now has to export morality because Kimet Tzion Teitzei Torah. The world desperately needs Israel to be the moral leader. And instead, Israel follows the dictates of the Geneva Conference and the UN that is so immoral. There is no morality out there. Torah is the only hope left. And what about hostages?
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing? Whenever two countries go to war with each other, Arab countries, Muslim countries, they never take hostages. Never. Why? Because what would be the point? Nobody cares. You also never hear them complain about human shields. When Arabs are fighting with Arabs or Muslims are fighting with Muslims, they never use human shields. Why? Because nobody would care. We keep telling them, we will protect your civilians. Well, you've suggested it. They're following your suggestion. They use civilians as a shield. No one else does that, so everybody else's civilians are safe. And the same with hostages. And they listen to the marchers and the protesters, and there's a little. Maybe we are to blame. We're so good at that. We've been practicing that for 2,000 years.
Yeah, why is that? Why do Jews feel guilty?